I was filled with deep appreciation for the Gohonzak and never stopped chanting to be happy. Around this time, I also began to realize that my relationship with my boyfriend at the time was becoming increasingly problematic and unhealthy. I had met him in Ecuador and we had been together about 2 months, and it was obvious that he had no respect for me, and I deeply resented him for it. Still, I was finding it harder than usual to let the relationship go. So I prayed to understand why I had attracted such a person into my life. And the more I chanted to appreciate my life and be happy, I realized that somewhere in my life I was still harboring that same sentiment of self-loathing that I had felt over the summer. My environment was reflecting lingerings of a fundamental disrespect for my own life. I chanted to strengthen myself from the inside instead of resenting him for the way I felt he was treating me. I didn't want any resentment or negativity in my life on any level, but I also realized it was time to set boundaries. Not long after, I bid him farewell. I had never attracted someone like this before, but I appreciated the opportunity to forge a strong sense of self based entirely on respect for my own life. After what hardly felt like 2 days after this incident, I felt seriously ill myself. Over the following weeks, I was rushed into emergency multiple times, and during this time, I can't even remember how many bus rides I must have taken all by myself, with a raging fever, doubling over in pain to get to the hospital to talk to doctors. Between 4 kinds of antibiotics, 3 kinds of painkillers, injections, there was also classes and tests and assignments and trips that I couldn't miss, and it was becoming increasingly difficult to stay afloat. But I chanted unyieldingly each day to not be defeated, and I refused to complain or bemoan my circumstances, because I knew I was exactly where I needed to be. When I left Ecuador, although sick, I had been able to completely wheel myself off of painkillers. It might sound as if my study abroad was a giant challenge, filled with one obstacle after another. And it was. But you know what? I've never been happier in my life. Thanks to all the doctors and hospitals and police stations, I learned Spanish better than I could have ever imagined. I found myself a family who cried for hours the night before I left, and were the last people to leave the airport the day of my flight. Thanks to my ex, what I learned from my ex, I was able to build a special relationship with someone else that stems from deep respect for one another. And I made wonderful friends who I talk to virtually every day since I've been back. I learned how to navigate a new culture, and I communicated with my heart. And most of all, I learned that there is no deadlock in the life of a person who chants Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. A few weeks ago, I received an email from my program director. A part of it said, this is my program director in Ecuador. Mohita, you know that not just I, but Nieves and I both love you. And I'm also sure and have no doubt that many people here in Ecuador and among the other BCAs love you also. I have the privilege of getting to know quite well many 20-something-year-olds. Some stick in my mind more than others. I am very sure that Mohita Tatara will be with me for a long time. Not only her name and her beauty, but her intelligence, her positive attitude, her lack of complaining when many others would have turned into whining children. Your spirit, your good mood that practically never wavers, your lack of sarcasm and criticism of others. You've got the whole package, my dear. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because the girl talked about in this email really doesn't feel like the girl who slept away her entire summer in despair in New York before going to Ecuador. I am so deeply grateful for the strength that this practice gave me to take the responsibility for creating the best benefit that I've ever had. And today and here in front of all of you, I vow again to continue to strive to be the best, healthiest, and happiest person that I can be.